Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Minority Report. I'm your lead host this week. I'm Kelly. I have with me Gabby and Carl. So this week, the topic of discussion is, do you believe that do you believe that the criteria for high school and down has prepared today's youth, you know what I'm saying, with the basic tools needed to be an adult?
Of course not. Nope. Not at all. Not even a little.
Okay. So why? Why do you think so? Why do you think not?
Well, I shared like a meme that I think was a perfect description of like elementary school. And it was like, it's pretty much like the teachers handing the child a recorder and the kid's like, but what about my credit score? And then no, just blow into it like this. And like, okay, what about my taxes? Okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3. And so, I mean, I think right there, like alone, like, I mean, why did we have to learn that stupid recorder? Like, I don't understand that. Like, I understand an appreciation for music, but why the recorder at such a young age? And then like, it just disappeared. I don't even remember what grade the recorder disappeared in. I just remembered it appeared one day, and then at certain grade, it was just gone. And so I don't even understand the point of that. So I think a lot of it's just, there's no point in a lot of the things that are done. And so I think government's a great course for students to go through. I think that it helps people with a basic understanding of how government works. I think everyone should know that. But that's pretty much it. I mean, basic math courses, because all of that rest of that crap, unless you're going to be a civil engineer or another engineer of a different sort, it's not really something that you need to know in general for your life. Like, you can learn your math profession for your profession in college. So I feel like you don't go over taxes, you don't go over home loans, you don't go over interest rates, you don't look at anything that you should be able to like be prepared as you exit high school. It's more of like, congratulations on the easiest part of your life, but we did nothing for you going forward. Good luck though. And then kids are just running around not knowing what the hell to do.
Okay. What about you, Carl? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with what you said. I mean, some of the stuff is, yeah, we need to know, but a lot of it is just BS in my opinion. Like none of that. Not none of it, but majority of it doesn't really translate to your real world. Like, exactly, like people need to learn how to like do taxes and, stuff that we're going to actually do in real life, like I don't need to know, like, I don't even know if they still teach like the Pythagorean theorem and all that other stuff. And like, okay, yeah, at a certain point you got to know that, like she said, like if you reach, I feel like they should teach life skills, like, okay, from like elementary school, and so like learn like your ABCs, learn to read, right? Like, okay, and then you get to high school, you should know, middle school, high school, you should know how to do all that stuff. And then they should start teaching you like life skills. Like, what I mean? They should have like, because when we were, so we went to the same high school I did, and we had the vocational school right next door, pretty much like it was a trade school pretty much. And I had the opportunity to go there for my block period for 2 years. So they had these different electives that you can pick, and pretty much what people who were already graduates, like grown adults, were paying, $500 a month to go to these trade schools or whatever they were paying, so they can learn a trade. Like, we had the opportunity to go do that as a high school elective, which was great. I think that was great, but I feel like we need more of that in the school system. Like, teach people trades that they want to, learn, or just basic stuff like. I come across people today that don't know how to change a tire or, boil some water. Like,
Boil some water?
Yeah, what I'm saying? Just like, okay, that's a stretch, but I'm pretty sure there's people out there that probably mess up boiling some water. Like, that's just an example. Like, just basic life skills need to be taught, I feel like. And then, yeah, get your education stuff, like, the reading and writing, the math, like she said, and then teach us like actual life skills. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody needs to be in chemistry class. Now, if that's what you want to do, then yes, you should try. You should be in those classes. But like, there's certain things. I think there needs to be a more I understand that it's tough because with funding and just getting the the people that are willing to, the teachers and stuff. But I think that's something that they need to work towards is getting those type of criterias, like so we can touch on those more
Right.
instead of
Right.
just having this across the board just BS that we half of us we don't even use when we get to the real world, and we're just like, what the heck was the point of me wasting 4 years of my life learning that?
So do you think that like homeschooling would be better in general or no? Like if that was given to the parents and put on the parents for their responsibility,
No,
teach
absolutely
their kids that, like make it a curriculum based thing?
no. I don't think so. I don't think because not everybody is qualified. Like not every parent would be qualified at the same level to teach. I'm not saying that there's not. Of course, there's cases where people are they're homeschooling and they've gone to be great successful, but to make that a mass thing, no, I don't think so.
No, I was just asking for like comparison wise.
Oh no, I don't think so.
Okay. So the reason I asked that is because I know there's a couple of people that they believe school is not for them, So after high school would probably be the highest level that they like to go, So they don't want to go to school afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel like they're left at a disadvantage because those skills, that are needed for them to work towards some type of career out in the real world without a college education, I think those are kind of were lost on them because of the textbook-based curriculum that the school system teaches. Now, pertaining to people that do go to college afterwards, do you think that because of their education, do you think that's why if they've become successful, do you feel that that's a reason why? Do you think that college is the reason why these people are certain people are successful?
I think that's like a loaded question. I mean, before I myself got educated, I worked at like a restaurant, and there was a lady that was right next to me, same job, same everything. She had a degree in English literature, and there was literally nothing she could do. Like there was nothing here in the immediate market that was available to her. So she had to take whatever job she had available to her. And like, so I think having a college education does make you successful if you are able to apply that education, if it's available for you to apply that education. But the job market, I think, is limited depending on your degree. Like for Alex to get her nursing degree, she's guaranteed a job. I mean, we're in Florida, so there's a hospital down every street. It's going to be fairly easy for her to be successful in that career with her education because the job market's so readily available to her. However, getting a degree in English literature in Port Charlotte, Florida is kind of useless. So I think you have to be successful, you have to do like several things. I think getting an education gives you a better chance of being successful, but that you don't stop there. You have to chase where it goes. So just because you have an education doesn't guarantee you a job. You have to go and get that job or, be on the lookout. You have to be diligent with that education.
What about you, Carl?
Yeah, I think I would never knock anyone for going to college or furthering their education. I think that's great. But all in all, like, I think it's pretty well obvious that college is a business. It's a multi-million-dollar business. And just like with that one, what's the lady from that one show that got caught up in that scandal about just pretty much paying off their kids to paying for their kids to get over there.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's like that piece of paper is like a status. You know what I mean? Like, Gabby can be better with computers than somebody that went to a full college Ivy League school or whatever. But just because that person has that piece of paper, like they're going to be above her in that pile. But even though she's better, so I think that's all it really is. It's just it's a status symbol. Do I think like there's benefits still to going to colleges? Absolutely. I think you get, you might get a certain type of experience, whereas someone who doesn't, you get more of a real world experience. You might get, there's just different learning, ways about it. Cause it's like street smarts versus, education, book smarts, you know what I mean? It's like, if you find somebody that can be both, that's a very deadly weapon right there, in my opinion. So I'm not against colleges, but I definitely do feel like in today's society, that piece of paper is it's just a status. It's just something to get your name at the top of the pile over someone that can probably be more qualified than you doing the work. But also, which is great about now too, is just education everywhere. Like you can self-educate yourself very easily, you know, like just by doing research and going online and stuff. And it with a little bit of drive and passion, especially nowadays with social media. And like, if you want to be successful, it's all on your terms of what's successful. Like, you know, if you can just have a social media following, like people are making a living off of that. If you want to be a stripper, you can be the best stripper you want to be, and you can consider yourself successful because you're living good. Like, I don't know, it's just different aspects on what you feel a success is.
Right. So now you saying universities and college is a multi-million-dollar business. For one, I agree with you. I believe that. So what about that would you change? Where would you start? Yeah, with the whole
what I would start with is student athletes. These kids are bringing in millions and millions of dollars and not getting anything for it. I mean, yeah, some of them go on to, well, I can't say they're not getting anything for it, but because, you know, a lot they'll get scholarships. But let's say that person's there on a scholarship because they play the sport, but let's say they get injured and they can't play that sport anymore. Then what are you going to do with them? You know, it's like, but either that too, like they're still bringing millions of dollars for you, whether you're giving them a scholarship, a free education or not. Like,
So what would you change?
a lot of them are struggling. For years now, they've been trying to debate and actually pay the student athletes a small like amount of money so they can have money for like food and clothes and whatever else. But getting away from that and just the overall education system, what would I change?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Not really sure what I would change. I guess just make it more affordable. I don't necessarily know if it should be free to everyone. Yeah, that would be great. But I mean, I'm sure they can figure out a way to pay the teachers and the faculties and stuff, you know, and make it free. But I don't really think that's too realistic. Not in America, at least. I know other places education apparently is free, but I don't really see that happening in America. But I definitely think they can make it more affordable because people are going to school or whatever, and then they come out however much in debt, you know, like, and then they're spending the next 50 years of their life paying it off. You know, some people don't never pay it off. So I just think making it more affordable for one thing, just working on those price points.
And do you think the price is what deters a lot of students from applying to college and actually trying to get into college?
Absolutely. I mean, we've all been in the military. How many people, you know, joined the military and told you simply they joined it for money for school?
Right.
Absolutely. Money is like probably, I'm not gonna say it's the only thing because some people school is just not for them. But, and you know, they don't feel like they need it. But I think a very, very large percentage of it is people know they can't afford it and they don't want to be in debt for the rest of their life.
What about you, Gabby? What do you think you'd change about the educational system to make it more practical?
I think like having like the like pricing, all of that stuff. Yeah, it is very expensive. I'm currently in school, and like the cost of books alone will eat at your paycheck. And like, yeah, you know, you do have the option to take loans out with FAFSA. You have Pell Grants. Pell Grants you don't even have to pay back. You have the options to get scholarships. I myself got a few scholarships. Alex has, you know, so I try and weigh heavily on the Pell Grants instead of the loans. But even whatever you get approved for often does not cover the cost of your books. So from what I'm seeing, like a lot of people are trying to work and go to school and manage their living at the same time without the loan even covering the materials needed to go to school. Like, not everyone can afford a top of the line computer to ensure that it works. And like, not everyone can afford the fundamental materials to be accomplishing their goals while in school. So I think that it's unrealistic when it comes to like your professors will tell you, you have to be in class every single time. I'll give you 2 minutes past the times the class starts, and then I'm going to lock the door and you're not welcomed in. And I think that's very unrealistic. So often there's adult students going to college, and they have jobs to be at. They have a home to clean and take care of. They have bills to pay. Like, so I think that it's super unrealistic knowing that not everyone's a student athlete. Not everyone is afforded Pell Grants and scholarships. Not everyone's given those opportunities to where money's just there and they can use it for what they choose. A lot of these people have to work 40 to 60 hours a week just to pay their bills. So I think the attendance policy needs to be looked at. And I think it should be case by case. I think that if you legitimately go and you show them that, yeah, I have to work Monday through Friday between these hours. If I don't, I will get kicked out of my home. I think that it needs to be more reasonable with the expectations. I think that we're putting way too much pressure on students to like, you have to be here. Well, I mean, we live in the age of technology. How about you record your class and you send it to me and I can watch it from home? Like, there's so many better options, like, especially for like someone like me, I don't drive. And so, I mean, it's very difficult for me to be able to be in that classroom every single time. And like the response I got was, well, you have to be. I'm like, okay, you do realize I don't drive. And at the time I was working. So I had to figure out how I was going to get to work and then figure out how I was going to get to class and then try and figure out a way home. And like, the bus system doesn't always go everywhere you need it to go when you need it to be there. So I think that a lot of times we're putting the pressure of debt on the individual. Fine, if you go to school, you are accepting that responsibility. But that's kind of where it ends. They're like, yeah, you're going to be in debt. Also, we'll kick you out if you're not here. And you're like, it makes no sense. It's backwards. Like, let these people work. They have kids,
At the end of the day, they're a paying customer. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, I'm paying for this. Let me manage it how I am capable of managing it. And so if the student wastes the opportunity and they don't go far with it, or they don't complete it, that was the choice they made. They made the attempt and they took on that debt willingly, knowingly, and yeah, they need to pay that debt back. I'm sorry it didn't work out, but I think a lot of students drop out because it's too much having to work, having to ensure that they're in that seat, and there's really not that much give. And like, I mean, if we are paying the outrageous prices that they're asking, and the books alone, some of these books are $500 for one book that I opened twice. You know what I mean? Like, it makes no sense. So like, you're already doing that to that student. Why do that and not help them be successful with it? Why not support those students in a way that they can, and you can help ensure that success?
Mm-hmm. So real quick, because I saw a post back to like the Chase things. I saw a post a while ago and it was like, they need to push and promote trade schools as much as colleges. Do you guys agree with that?
Definitely. I definitely agree with it. I was actually reading an article about that where they said certain trades, and these are main trades too, not like off the wall trades, like being a plumber, stuff like that. Those trades are so undermanned that the salary for those has risen up. Like, on average, a plumber nowadays is making, well, according to the article, it said a plumber nowadays would be making $90K a year. That's more than most Americans make, you know what I'm saying, salary wise. So I just, when I posted that article, a couple of people had commented and they were just like, oh, no, I'm not going in there. There's snakes, there's all these things. But I just think that man, those are just obstacles. You can
those are the same people complaining immigrants are taking their jobs.
Yeah, yeah, trades definitely need, especially for those students that don't believe that college is for them, that think that they'd rather, I'm saying, go another route and try and find success. So yeah, I'm all for trades.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Gabby?
Well, yeah, I mean, like that's kind of what, like, kind of everything's like the backbone of that. Like, I mean, that's the backbone of everything. So, I mean,
Hmm.
I mean, I've seen some jobs like pay nothing. Like you go and you take the 6 month course or whatever it is, to get whatever certificate for that trade, and then they walk out making $12 an hour, and it's like, well, that kind of blows, like why did you spend the 6 weeks? So it's almost like I feel, depending on the trade and depending on the trade school, like the qualifications or whatever the certifications that you need to be able to work in that field, I feel like it's a like a bait and hook thing, like where they kind of jig it away from you
But
to
it's not.
where.
But that's not. That's just like. It's not just like colleges, though. It's not the same thing. It's all about what school it is and where you went and what trade it is. Because not every school you can have. Say you go to school for law, like everybody or whatever the job is. Let's say you go to some unknown school or less popular school versus somebody who went to Harvard, because Harvard has that name.
Mhm.
Like you said, it depends on what school you go to, like what trade school you go to, what college you go to.
No, what I mean is like what certificate that you need. Like some people can walk out and get their EMS and their, whatever that is, and then walk out making $13, $14 an hour. And to me, it's not like, and it doesn't depend on the name of the trade school. It depends on like where's that disconnect of, okay, that is a trade. Why are we not paying them? Like you can make more as a waitress. So, and you don't need to go to school to be a waitress in any form or fashion. You don't need a certification for that. I mean, you have to go through like a food and safety thing, watch a 30-minute video, but I mean, most of us just kind of slept through that. So, I mean, it's not something that it takes very much effort to become a waitress. Now, being a waitress is a terribly hard job. Like I feel horrible when waiters and servers are treated poorly and everything else. I don't think that it's a bad job. I made a lot of money doing it. Um, I certainly would not want to do it again, but the point I'm making is like with a trade school, I don't feel like there's enough support for that pay that they walk out with that certificate because college wasn't their choice. Like it's just not for them or whatever the reasoning is, but they go and try and make their life better. But it's kind of like you just wasted 6 weeks. Like that's how I would feel. Like if I got my certification and I go and try and get a job in that field and the pay is I make more doing something else. Like shouldn't have gone to school because I'm making more getting a job that I didn't need to do that for.
Yeah, but there's not. Go ahead, Kelly.
No, yeah, you go ahead.
No, I was saying because I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of benefits to trade school.
I believe the benefits are there. I just don't think the support's there. Like I see a lot of people going, watching other people get the certificate, come out and going, wow, they only offered me $12 an hour. And then being like, well, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of. I was trying to ask you is like, since you said exactly how you said you don't feel like there's enough support behind it, do you feel like they should get that same support as?
I don't know. Like I don't obviously like I mean, that's kind of like humanity, right? Like we always want the best situation for anybody. I think that if you ask anybody that question, like if you can make it better for someone, I think if you're a decent person, the answer is always going to be yes. Like you're always going to want other people to be doing well. So yeah, of course I want that. I just don't see how we can do that. I think that it would be based on, I mean, if we take like the example of the EMS people, it's dependent on that company how much they get paid, or dependent on if you work for the county how much they get paid. And so are we going to pull away that funding to pay the EMS workers, or are we going to pull that away from children in need so we can pay them more? I mean, like anything that you give more to someone, you're taking away from someone when it comes to like anything county or government work. So I think I have no answer there because you're going to hurt somebody some way helping someone else when it comes to that. So really, I think if it's a private company thing, I think that private companies suck and they're greedy, and that absolutely they should pay their employees a fair wage, at least more than what they could make doing something other than what it took to get there. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, of course, I want them to have the support. I just don't see how, other than us going after corporate America, which kind of sounds like it's not working out for us. So,
So basically, if I'm understanding correctly, you're saying you you're you support the trade school venture, but you believe that with the time that they put in, some of those trades don't pay as well as they should. Like
yeah,
there's too many avenues where the paid, you know what I'm saying, doesn't equal out to the hard work that they put in to get that certification.
yeah,
I completely understand, and I think that has a lot to do with. It doesn't have to do with them, but I think the people who are going for these trades should do their research. You know, it's it's like you know what's going to be around all the time. So like medical, you know what I'm saying, aviation, um, transportation, like those. There's certain things that are going to just they're the I guess you can say the pillars of society
hmm
and of the workforce, I guess I should say. So, I mean, you do your research and you find a job in those fields. I think you could be all right. I mean, but that's up to the person, you know. Me, and since I was a kid, my mother always told me, she's like, Kelly, when you get older, you're gonna build me a house. So, right then, it was either construction worker or architect. I'm gonna design the houses. So I picked the latter. I picked the architects though, and that's what I'm working towards now. And I believe that field is going to be something. It's around. It's going to be around for a while. That's not something that's going to just go away. So I think that right there, that's kind of certain that similarity to like how I piece those clues together. I think those people that don't want to go to college should do their research and do the same.
Are you currently in college?
Yeah.
So, do you find it like beneficial? Like, do you feel like you are gaining? Is it worth the money that you are putting into it? Are you receiving that back, just education wise?
So, yes and no. I just know I'm working towards a larger goal right now. It's just my general courses, general ed, so it's pretty much relearning things, you know. So I feel like it's a waste of time if you already know the stuff, you
Yeah.
know. But I know the end result that I'm hoping for is going to be fruitful. So that's why I just kind of keep going. So on that, do you guys believe, like I see a lot of videos of like kids walking out of class, kids like disrespecting their teachers, just it's crazy stuff. Do you believe, and I can't even say this generation because I believe we're part of it as well. Do you think that like we're starting to take education and school for granted?
Yes.
Yeah. Why is that? Why do you think that? Where do you think that disconnect came from? Where do you like? I'm sure we didn't. Those that have kids and that are in school, I'm sure they didn't teach their kids to disrespect teachers or not care about class or walk out of class or skip school and all that. Where do you think that came from?
I think that as a society, we do not respect and appreciate our educators the way that we should, especially the K through 12 educators. I do not think that they receive the support. I don't think that they
Absolutely.
I don't think that they receive the love that is necessary for them to wake up every day and deal with 20 to 30 freaking kids. I mean, I can't even walk past a park sometimes. I get so frustrated. So, everything that they do it's really a talent, and it's amazing to see teachers do what they do. I mean, with everything, there's not, and everyone's not always great. I'm sure there's a lot of duds out in the world, but the bad apples should not ruin the bunch. I think in general, I think that I don't think kids are as dumb as they are treated sometimes. I think that they recognize that that teacher is struggling. That teacher is sitting in that office and in her desk until 6, 7 o'clock at night. They're probably overhearing her talk to another teacher, like, what time did you get home? And like, I have to go work a second job. Or, seeing your teacher work at Walmart and then have to, like, kids connect to those dots faster than we realize. And so I think that disrespect that society has for teachers is where that's a factor of where that comes from. I don't think it's the sole factor. I think a lot of it comes from home. I don't think that people are spanking their kids anymore. And that's unfortunate. I think that's, sometimes your kid's going to need a good ass whooping. I had a few and some well deserved. And so, now, a lot of those things that my parents taught me with those ass whoopings still run through my brain today. Like, don't do this. And cause it hurt last time I did it. So I think that there's a difference between feeding your child and giving them an ass whooping. And I think without that punishment, that parental authority supporting their child, because really that's what it is. You are supporting your child and developing them into a good person. I think that is another factor into it. But I think overall, kids are becoming very aware that their teacher is washing cars on the side because they can't pay their bills. And so they can now make fun of them. They can now look down on them. They're not given the support from the parents. Instead of getting a phone call and coming in like, what is my kid doing? The parent's automatically on the child's side. They're not on the parent's side. And so, that's just from my outlook in. It's not that I have kids or have been in these situations from a parental role. This is just kind of what I've just seen myself. So, I could be completely wrong. Maybe I am, but that's just my point of view for right now.
What about you, Carl?
Yeah, all the above. I think it's a messed up cycle. One, we definitely don't pay teachers enough, give them enough incentive. Some teachers do it, because that's what they love to do. They love to educate. But at the end of the day, that there's just that love to educate. You're not going to put food on the table and pay your bills. So I think we definitely need to appreciate teachers more. There just needs to be overall more appreciation, just like, I guess, emotionally or just status, like in status wise and financially. We need to give them a lot more respect because, people always preaching, the kids are our future. Well, who's shaping those futures? It's the parents, one, and the educators, the schools, you're sending them to. So why not, put those people up on a pedestal? Now, are there messed up teachers? Are there bad teachers? Of course, they're still human. They're still, but those ones will get weaned out. And now starting with the parents, yes, discipline your kids. Don't abuse your kids, but discipline them, because if you're not disciplining them, they're going to come to school to a teacher who is, a stranger, not really a stranger. They see him every day, but they don't see as, authority. They're going to be disrespectful. They're going to disrupt the class. They're going to feel like they don't have to listen. It just needs to be some discipline, because especially nowadays too, like back in the day, a teacher could discipline the kid, but they can't do that now, so that's solely up to the parents' responsibility to make sure their kid knows that if they act up in school, that there will be consequences. And now everything is just quick to, you can suspend them and stuff, but I feel like it might help, but once you suspend and even expulsion, you failing to discipline your kid as a parent is going to hurt them in the long run. It's not going to really hurt anybody else besides them. Let's say they get suspended, they repeatedly get suspended. Okay, now they're missing days, now they're missing vital stuff that they need to graduate, or even expelled. So either they just drop out, or you got to move and get them to a new school. So now that's stress on you. It's just a bad cycle. You know what I mean? It's just a really bad cycle. So I think just get better educators, because if you're paying better and showing more respect to them, you're going to get better. You're going to get better educators. People will be like, all right, yeah, it's worth it. Even if the kids are shit, they're like, hell, that paycheck's going to be worth it. So whatever, I'll deal with it. But then you got teachers that are like, man, screw this. I'll go work at Walmart than teach these badass kids, So, you know what I mean? Get maybe a couple of dollars more pay even, and deal with less distress, So I don't know. Just I think it starts at home. Really, discipline your kids.
Yeah. It definitely starts at home. And that's not like me growing up. I was Carl, you know better than anybody. I was a shit student.
What?
I'm saying you know better than anybody. I was a shit student. I mean,
I always thought you were straight A.
No.
This is news to me.
I just got my high school transcript when I was enrolling in college. I was just like, but yeah, it's just at the time, it didn't. Well, I mean, still now those subjects, they don't really pique my interest, but learning does. You know what I'm saying? I like to know at least a little about a lot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like a jack of all trades, master of none. You know, so and I think,
and that's so important too, like to keep kids' interest, because that was my biggest issue, was keeping my interest. Like I have my subjects that I love and like I can focus on those, but those other ones, like just the curriculum was just so mundane. It was just like it's not keeping my interest. Like okay, and like I was the type of student like, why are we learning this? When am I going to use this in real life? Like I was that kid, and like I would just be like, all right, I'm just going to sit here until the bell rings and then quietly and then leave. Like that was me, because I'm still like that today. Like I'll do stuff because like, okay, like whatever, I got to do it. But I need my interest peaked for me to like fully immerse myself and strive at it. But
you see, and that right there is like a perfect example of how difficult a teacher's job must be. Because I mean, you have to teach these kids how to read, how to write. You got to teach them. I think that, the arts and sports are very, very valuable. And so I believe that, yes, your kids should play an instrument, maybe not the recorder in first grade, but maybe like, drums or violin in sixth, seventh, eighth, and so on. But right there is what, like, how difficult that job must be, because first of all, you're dealing with a class of 20 to 30 kids, 20 to 30 different personalities, 20 to 30 different drives, 20 to 30 different interests, and you are stuck teaching that subject to those kids. Like what a difficult job. How do you try and relate to each one individually? It just
and on top of that, with a shit budget, like with like no type of financial backing, you have to like figure the shit out on your own pretty much for most cases. So it's like It's extremely tough. It's like I have to figure out the curriculum to teach these kids, keep their interests with little to no materials. So
yeah.
At the same time too, like because of, I guess, the budget cuts and them getting paid close to nothing, I think the curriculum has kind of watered down, because I know they're not teaching kids cursive anymore. Like I know that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm not saying that's like essential. Like you don't need cursive to you know what I'm saying, to be an adult. But I mean, it's the
you gotta at least know how to write your signature.
You feel me? Also, I've heard that a lot of newer, I guess the kids 2000 and up, they don't know how to read an analog clock. Like this is all stuff I've read. Yeah, so it's like 73% of them don't know how to read an analog clock. It's always like digital. So I was right
That's
there.
A failure as a parent, man. Like at some point, the parent needs to teach these damn kids basic things.
So yeah, it's crazy. Like I'm not saying. I think just like Carl said, a dangerous mind is a really good weapon if used properly. So I think along with the
street smarts,
the yearning to learn, as well as the I guess the motivation to struggle and go through whatever you need to grow through, and you say grind. I think those two together, that'd make for a very successful person.
Yeah. And I think regardless, without an education or with an education, for me, I think that's the fundamentals to success, is your ability to learn and apply what you're learning, and the ability to put in the work and try and make that effort. I think that right there, I think, is probably the main key to success, because you can be like Carl said, you can be a successful waitress, you can be a successful stripper, or you can do that. And so I think if you put in that grind, yeah, you're going to get there. I think that it's not applied across the board because of, like, look at teachers. They did put in that grind. They did go and get that education. And now they're getting the shit end of the stick for what that education was supposed to give them. That they put way too much effort for far too less money. So, like, I don't think that that's something that can be applied across the board. But I think in general, like, when we're talking just basic success, not pinpointing on any particular field, I think that if you have the tenacity to fall and get up, and you have the diligence to learn and to apply everything that you've gone through, I think that you're going to be a successful person just in general, with your relationships, with your workships, with whatever it is.
So I feel like we all agree that teachers should be paid more. There should be more put into the teacher's pocket. So I have a question. Do you feel like that money is already there and they're just not giving it to the teachers? Or where do you guys think we should be getting, where should we pull this money from to make that happen?
Well, large part, the argument is sports, football. Pull it away from football and give it to the teachers unions and everything else. But I mean,
you're talking about the high school?
Yeah.
Sports? Okay.
And so, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I was in band, so I had to go to like pep rallies and stuff, and to go to a football game sometimes was $5 to $7, and that was 15 years ago. So I mean, just go to a high school football game, and that money went to the football team, and not to the coach or not to the teachers, because most likely the coach is also a teacher. So like that guy is going to be working from 5 a.m. till 10, 11 o'clock at night every day, trying to get these kids educated and get them well versed in their sports. So I think that was one of the arguments I had read. I don't necessarily agree with that, because I mean, I believe in supporting the arts and sports and extracurricular activities. So I think that you're depending on the school. Like if you look at privatized schools, they're pretty well set up. Like they have uniforms, they have their teachers are doing very well because it's a privatized school. I think the public schools is where we're seeing these teachers suffer. So it really depends on your county, your government officials, of where that money goes.
I'm pretty sure, I don't know. I think I kind of agree with that, but I also think that the sports. I don't think they should prioritize the sports over the teachers now. But I do know that if you do have a good sports team, if your team doing that brings in revenue, just like in colleges and stuff, it brings in revenue. And I also know on the other diverse side, flip side, like because your school gets graded as a whole, and I remember when I was going through, I think when I was graduating, my graduating class, we had one of the highest grades over. We became an A+ school or whatever, overall as a whole, and that gets you funding because your overall grade as a school is high, so that gets you funding from, I guess, the government or wherever. So I guess it kind of can go both ways. But I
agree with both of you, but I'm leaning more towards Gabby, because I do believe that sports is such a large market. You know what I'm saying? From K through 12, it's, fitness. You know what I'm saying? At those ages and grades, at least, they promote that a lot. And I think the parents, parents are always, they're supportive of their children. So a lot of them, dump money into, their boosters. So they dump money into the schools for their sports programs, their uniforms, T-shirts or cheerleading uniforms, whatever it is. I think some of that money, not saying, and it doesn't even have to be a large portion, but at least some of that money gets allocated and dispersed around the school, for other needs like books or just to increase the teachers' pay. I think money is a great incentive, and I think that just like you guys have been saying, the better the pay, the harder they'll work. And
I don't disagree with that. I don't know. It just, from my own personal view of what I see, I can't say that I've done any research, but from my just personal view, what I see is just a lot of the times the schools, the nicest schools, the schools with the most fundings, are the schools with the top teams, and that's because those teams bring in money. Like you said, those booster clubs. You know, there's a market in those kids. Like how I said, they go to college, they make millions of dollars for school. There's a market in those kids. So I'm not disagreeing. Like I think that's just more of a priority thing that where it's just a money thing, like you said. Like people look at those sports and those teams, and that's an investment for them. I think that's just where it's messed up because they don't look at the education. Because I feel like when they do with the sports, those people that are boosting those teams or these sports, whatever, they feel like in the long, they're in some way, shape, or form, they feel like they're going to get something back in return. But I feel like if they feel like if they did that the opposite way, that their return won't be as great. You know what I'm saying? Like if they were to like, oh, let's put it into education. Like, yeah, you're doing a great thing. You're doing a great service. You're putting those kids, you know, you're giving the teachers, you know, more money. So that in turn, it should, you know, reflect with the students, you know, and ideally that's what we're going for, is to reflect the students to be better too and go on. You know, I'm not saying there will be no return. I'm not sure exactly how the return would be, but I think that's what it just comes down to, because a lot of the top schools, the nicest uniforms, the best records and stuff, those are usually like the nicest schools, and they have all the funding, they have all the best equipment, they have like sports wise and education wise. Like I was talking to what is it, Lakeland, that nice ass, remember the Lakeland High? It was like that nice ass school. Like they were like one of the only football teams that had like their names on the back of their jerseys, and like a lot of those students went to the NFL. I think somebody said like the Pouncey twins came from Lakeland. Like, and like when I was in high school, I don't know if it's true, but I heard rumors like those kids, they used to get laptops and they used to take them home, and like they would just turn them at the end of the year or whatever. But they would get laptops to take home. Like, you know, I'm sure they get money from like outside sources too, just like, you know, because they're just, you know, a wealthy area probably. But you know, I'm sure they throw a lot of money to the sports and stuff and then on time those kids go to the NFL or whatever, and then they might come back, give money, or people gradually just come back, give money. But so I definitely agree with what you guys are saying. It's just I see the aspect of where people are putting that money into sports, because in long term it's just greed. In some way, shape, or form, I feel like they feel like they're going to get some type of return if they do that. So
I agree. And it's just something I've always wondered too. So you give a student athlete full ride scholarship, all right, and they have to maintain a what? Is it a 2.0 or a 2.5?
I think it's a 2.5. I think it depends on the school, but I think I've heard a few times a 2.5.
2.5, which looking back, that's what, it's a C average, right?
Yeah.
It's a C average. That's nothing. You know, that's so easy. I think the standard for that should be raised. Granted, there are some kids that aren't really good at school, but to me, I don't believe anybody's dumb. I think you just work at it. You know, you just repetition. You sit there and you focus. I think anybody can figure anything out. So I think that standard for those athletes needs to be set a little higher, because those scholarships, you got to think about it, it's taken away from other kids' mouths. Like here you are, you're what's on average. A university is $19,000 a year, something like that. So you're paying what, close to 80 G's for, you know what I'm saying, one kid, you know, to let him go for free based on his athletic ability, while other people may be more academically sound and crap athletes, but they're willing to put in that work and earn that 80 G's a year, you know? Yeah. So
you talking about like at colleges, or you talking about like at high school?
Colleges. Yeah. So
but there's like academic scholarships too, though. They're more. I feel like they're more harder to get, probably. But
definitely are. And so what happens when these kids, the ones that get the academic scholarships, what happens with the money that was allocated for their full ride? If they say they go to the league after year one, because they're only required to do what, 2 years? One is not even. So
for the student athletes.
Yeah.
They're only required. I think they're only required to do 1 year. Yeah.
So 1 year. So what happens to the rest of that 60 G's that you've put it to side for that one student? when he goes off into the league? Does
Yeah.
he pay it back, or does that just a hole in a vacancy in the university in that class that they're just gonna have to deal
I
with?
I would say no, because I think they would only do it by, say you give them a full ride. I think it's only paid. I think they only cover that semester by semester or year by year. So if he only goes for 1 year, say he goes to the league, I don't think that, hey, we're going to do full ride scholarship, and they just give him like money for those 4 years, all 4 years or whatever. They do it year by year because it's an investment. They don't know if he's going to like jump out and go to the league. And even if he did, like look at somebody like Zion Williamson or just any kind of like big college player, or not even, like the money that those kids bring in, or would pay that off tenfold in 1 year. You probably, that 1 year probably pay for a whole bunch of students. You know, that 1 year of revenue they get from sports, not even all the sports, let's just say basketball alone, you know, that probably paid for all those academic scholarships in that 1 year. Those kids that are getting those full rides, they probably got all that paid for right there in that 1 year, just off those student athletes.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So,
Interesting topic, definitely interesting topic. But we have reached the end of this episode. I think we all agree, saying education is taken for granted,
Yes.
and as well as the educators
yes.
need to be respected in terms of financially and physically.
Authority. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the only way not the only way, but one of the top ways we'll make America great again, because we got to get this. Our education system is really low in the polls.
Super low.
Yeah.
And trade
Oh, yeah.
jobs. We need to support that. Like, you know, if your kid, like, don't shove college down your kid's throat. Like, ask him what he wants and support him in that avenue, even if it's not college.
Yes.
Some trades are just as lucrative as the degrees. So
Do your research, reach out, ask questions, figure out what's best for you.
You know how much a welder makes? Welders would be making the market for welding, like especially underwater welding. That's like one of the top paying.
Are you going to become a welder?
Trust me, if I was scuba certified and all that. Yes. All right,
guys, hit us up. Any suggestions or whatever you want to hear us talk about, let us know. Any criticism is good criticism. So don't be afraid to tell us what you like and what you don't like.
Yes.
We won't take offense.
And also, if you would like to be a guest on one of the episodes, just hit us up, comment, just, you know, whatever you could, direct messages, whatever you want to do, just let us know. We'll try and get you an episode.
All right. So I'm your lead host, Kelly. I'm with Gabby and Carl and Minority Report signing off.